Welcome to the annual Case Global International Law Forum for the first-year law students. The purpose of this event is for you to meet the professors, administrators, and student leaders who are very active in our international law programs. So what we're going to do very quickly is just have everybody here just say their name and what they do, but not a long, detailed description of your program, because we'll get to that thematically in a few minutes. In addition, at an appropriate time, we're going to introduce you to all the students who've done internships this summer, whose names are also in a handout. I can't be in two places at one time, so I'm going to ask for an assistant. Can I get you to just advance the PowerPoint for us? What's your name to get credit for doing this? Okay, so as you see in the first slide, there are a lot of faculty people that are involved in the international law program at the school. By some counts, almost half of the faculty are. Can you turn to the next page? All right, so we have some handouts for you. The handouts include the Case Global brochure, which looks like this, and the newsletter, which looks like this. And going down the list, student leader and summer contact information. This is important because if you want to know more about these groups after this session, we're giving you their email addresses so that you can get in touch with them. And then, as well, the people who did summer stipends, you're going to learn in a few minutes that there is going to be a week of panels about how to get a job in international law, including panels on internships. And you're going to be meeting all these people in a lot more detail at that time, but I wanted them to be here as well now to start the process. And these are their names and their email addresses. In addition, you get the list of the Summer Abroad Program brochure from last year. There's going to be a couple of changes to the program, which we'll talk about, but those are there. And then the concentrations. We have a new concentration. In addition to international law, we now have national security law. You'll be hearing more about that. And then finally, the Case Global events. So those are your handouts. Next slide, please. Okay, the administration of this huge international law program that Case has become famous for. So I'm Michael Scharf. I'm the director of the Frederick K. Cox International Law Center. I have a couple of other hats. I'm the U.S. National Director of the Canada-U.S. Law Institute. I am the director of the War Crimes Research Office, and I'm the director of the Summer Abroad Program, the Summer Institute for Global Justice. Many people have several hats. The next person I want to introduce you to is Jacqueline Lipton. In addition to being Associate Director of the Cox Center, she's also Associate Dean. Then we have Bob Strassfeld, there. He's Associate Director of the Cox Center and Director of our Institute for Global Security Law and Policy. You'll be hearing more from him in a few minutes. Then we have Professor David Koken, one of the newest additions to our faculty, David Koken, right there. He is the Managing Director of the Canada-U.S. Law Institute and is teaching 4 courses at the law school as well. Then we have Professor Lewis Katz, who couldn't be with us, but we do have Adria Sejkovic and Jack Turner here? No, but just Adria, and she will be telling us more in a few minutes about the International Law LLM program. Then we have Professor John Grutzinger, and he's going to be telling us in a few minutes about our China Abroad exchange programs. We have Professor Carol Fox, who couldn't make it just now. She runs the War Crimes Research Office with me. Then we have in the back of the room Alice and Nancy and Jared. I see Alice. Nancy just snuck off, and this is Jared. They are the ones who run all of the conferences, the programs, the lectures, these kinds of events, and you will be seeing a lot from them. They're very helpful and hugely important to the program. Then we have Andrew Dorchak, who I don't see right now. He's probably in the library. We're lucky that we have a librarian whose expertise is international law and just helps us with all the kinds of international law issues that you will encounter in your next 3 years. And then finally, we have moot court coaches, Connor McLaughlin, who is at Thompson Hine, and for Niagara, we have Cassandra Robertson and Michael Benson. You guys raise your hands. And they'll be telling you more about that in a few minutes as well. Okay, that's our administration. Next page. I want to tell you about our curriculum, and then we'll get to your student leaders and everything else in a minute. So we're a unique law school. You probably read about this. You can take international law as a first-year law student. And about half the students do. There's no enrollment cap for the class. We've had as many as 100 people take it. I teach the class every year. It's a fun class because you don't have an exam at the end. Instead, you have a take-home assignment you're given the first day of class, which is like a fictional case file, and it's due the last day. It makes international law very realistic. In addition, we have the international law concentration and national security law concentrations. This is where you can do a certain number of courses, a writing project related to the field, and you get to graduate with a concentration certificate in either international law or national security law. I'm the one who supervises the international law, and again, Bob Straswell there does the national security law. Then we have the Case Abroad at Home courses. Professor Lipton created this program. It's now largely run by Professor Gretzinger, and what it does is it brings to the school every summer, the week before school starts, 3 distinguished visiting professors to teach mini courses. And you guys will get to enroll in those mini courses next summer, right before school starts. So when you're making your summer plans, you may want to plan to come back a week early, and you can get as many as 3 credits for that. Am I getting that right? Okay. Experiential learning. We have an immigration practicum, which is like a clinic. We have the War Crimes Research Lab, the National Security Lab, and from time to time, Richard also teaches a lab dealing with the IMF. These are places where you take a course and you are given assignments from an outside institution or an entity based on real live issues that are pending before that institution. And we do work for all the international tribunals. Many of the people up here have done those kinds of work, people who have done the internships, as well as now for the Al-Qaeda military commissions that Obama has reconstituted, and that is being done through our National Security Law Lab, which David Kochen is running, as well as working for the Coast Guard. And we have the semester-long International Tribunal externship, where we have students currently getting a semester's worth of credit, working for the Cambodia Tribunal, the Special Tribunal for Lebanon, and the Special Court for Sierra Leone. We also have the Summer Institute for Global Justice in Utrecht, the Summer Abroad program, where in the past you could get 6 credits, but because the ABA just changed its rules, you can now get 8 credits for taking 4 classes instead of 3 at this program. And next summer, Juscelino Claris, one of our new faculty members who came to us from Syracuse, will be teaching at that. And in addition, Rakaya Yerby will be teaching a law and medicine course. And Juscelino, you'll be teaching a course in, well, why don't you pass it, Juscelino, the microphone, and I won't put words in your mouth.
Hi everyone. You hear me?
Yes.
I'll be teaching a course on WTO dispute settlement, and so it should be very, very interesting. And look forward to seeing you there.
And then finally, a new program that we just launched is our International Criminal Law LLM program. We have several people from around the world taking it, including a distinguished visiting jurist. And this year's distinguished visiting jurist is Judge Rosamel Matuka from the Kenya Piracy Court. And we've been doing a lot of work in piracy lately, but this is Rosamel. If you'll say hello to everybody. Hello. When you see Judge Matuka around, please go out of your way to introduce yourself to her, maybe ask her about her piracy work. She's going to be on a panel on Friday at a conference that we're having called International Law in Crisis. She's the lead person on her panel about responding to piracy. Thank you for coming today. Okay. Now, this is just a picture of our curriculum. Wait, go back to that. So above is the War Crimes Lab. Those are the memos being submitted. On the far right is Utrecht University, and below is the International Criminal Court. Next. Okay. Co-curricular programs. This is where I'm going to start involving the rest of the course behind me. Starting out with publications. We have 3 publications. The Journal of International Law, and its editor-in-chief is right there. Philippe, and you're going to tell us a little bit about the journal, and then we'll talk to Beth about the Canada U.S. Law Journal, and then Jack about the War Crimes Prosecution Watch newsletter.
Thank you. So my name is Philippe Bernard. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Journal of International Law. This year is going to be our 44th volume. We typically have 3 to 4 issues, I suppose, if you include some of the smaller aspects of the journal. We have a staff of 45 students, associate editors and senior editors, and then the executive staff. And we'll be hosting our symposium this Friday, September 9th, which I encourage you all to attend. It starts at, I believe, 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. Goes till about 5:30. At our office and online, you can look at an agenda of what we're going to be speaking about. And we'll be bringing in academics and professionals from around the world to talk about these various subjects. So, I mean, no obligation to spend the entire day there. You can come and listen to what you're interested in. And we draw our articles from that symposium. And from that, we produce our journal. And during the process, the people on the journal are also writing their note, which is one of the obligations before graduation. And that allows you to write pretty much on any subject you'd like, so long as it involves an issue of international law. I'm not quite sure if there's...
I think that's a good introduction.
That's good? That's good.
You see, we're moving through things pretty quickly so that we'll have time for question and answer, and also everybody will be able to introduce themselves. But next is Beth.
Hi everyone, my name is Beth Minton. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Canada-United States Law Journal. Our law journal is absolutely fantastic. It is the first and only law journal that really deals with Canada-United States relationships. It covers all aspects: economic, trade, energy, environment. We have a staff of about 30 to 35. And what's wonderful about our program is that we actually have about 25 students working here and between 5 and 10 working at our sister school, University of Western School of Law in London, Ontario, which is really just awesome getting to work with editors over in Canada. We publish 2 issues each academic year. We're currently working on our fall issue. We're in the process of interviewing 2 Ls to be associate editors, and it's a great program. Feel free to ask me any questions about it.
And next is Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack Sawyer. Some people, but I'm the editor-in-chief of War Crimes Prosecution Watch, which is a bi-weekly e-newsletter that goes out to about 9,000 subscribers, and it's a joint publication between the Cox Center and the Public International Law and Policy Group. And essentially we compile news and related articles and commentary on international criminal prosecutions, and we also have some thematic issues. And it's a unique publication in the sense that it's open to 1Ls during the spring, so be sure to be on the lookout for our application process. And I encourage all of you to apply. It's a really great way to get editorial experience as a 1L. So.
Thank you, Jack. So you guys will be trying out in the spring, after your first year is done, I guess early summer, with write-on competitions to get onto these journals. And those of you who are interested in the War Crimes Prosecution Watch, there are advertisements about that early in the semester in January. Next, we're going to be talking about our moot court teams. And I'm going to add this, don't worry, at the time I sent this, I didn't know what the status was. But we'll begin with the Jessup competition, and we have our captain here, Cameron McLeod.
Hi everybody, my name is Cameron McLeod. I'm the captain of the Jessup team here at CASE. CASE has a long tradition of a really strong and competitive Jessup team. In 2008, we won the International World Championship, beating 500 teams. Last year, we were ranked 2nd in the world at the international rounds, and we're looking to have a strong showing again. Just really quick, by way of background, do you all understand what a moot court is? I see some plastic faces, so we're going to just briefly explain it. It's a mock appellate argument, essentially, before the International Court of Justice, which is the main dispute resolution body within the United Nations. And for the Jessup competition, it's a fictional problem raised between 2 party states, one whose name starts with an A, being the applicant country, and one whose name starts with R, being the respondent country. This involves all aspects of public and sometimes private international law, as well as trade relationships, and allows you to get a really broad understanding of how disputes actually get litigated at the international level. And you have all sorts of questions of procedure and substance that go into the making of these problems, and then also the problems that arise under the Niagara Moot Court problem as well. Just as a brief advertisement, if you haven't done it yet or you're interested in doing it, it's a great way to get some experience as a 1L, doing the kind of legal writing and research that you'll be doing the whole way through law school by trying out for the international law moot court teams. Those problems are due tomorrow at noon or 5? Noon. And then we'll have tryouts the following Saturday, so on the 10th. If you have any questions about that going forward, feel free to grab me after or just ask them in the general session. But look forward to hearing you talk about it.
Thank you very much, Cameron. And next, we're going to be talking about the Niagara moot court team. And we have two coaches for that are here, Professors Robertson and Benza.
Well, I would want to echo everything Cameron said about Jessup, carries over to Niagara. Niagara is a little bit special because it, in particular, deals with disputes between the United States and Canada. So the format of the argument and the briefing, very, very similar, but the topics that you'd be looking at are specific to U.S.-Canadian issues. It's also a fun competition because some of the participants are from the United States, some are Canadian, and the Canadian argument styles are pretty different. So it's a nice way to get some international experience and to have a fun moot court experience.
Okay. And we have a third moot court, which is actually a mock arbitration experience. And we didn't have it last year because the timing was corresponded with exams, so I didn't get it on the list behind us. But we are going to have it this year, and Professor Gretzinger will tell you about it.
This competition is held in Hong Kong. If any of you have any desire to go, I know you might want to join the team, not just for that reason. And it is an opportunity to make your presentation before international arbitrators who are actual practitioners, and you'd be competing against about 200 law schools from all over the world, Japan, China, Europe, India. And so you'll need to do research in both civil law and common law to do the memorial, which is the written phase, and then there's a week of oral competition in Hong Kong. Tryouts are next, the 13th and 14th. So if you have an interest, please pay attention to the email I sent out to you.
Great. The final thing on that list is the LLM Mentors, and that program will be described to you by Adria Sankovic.
Thank you. I'm Adria Sankovic. I'm the Assistant Director for the LLM programs for foreign lawyers and students that are here. We have 59 LLM students this year from 11 different countries. I know some of you signed up to be JD Buddies, which I thank you. You will find the LLMs in your torts sections and in Professor Katz's criminal law. So please take time to get to meet them and get to know them. When you are a second-year law student, we hope some of you will sign up to be an LLM mentor. The LLM mentors, really, it's a fun job. You get to plan some social activities and also help do some tutoring, which is a great way to review the classes you learned the year before. We do have 660 alumni in 76 countries. So you never know when you'll meet a lawyer in another country. I hope you will take the time to meet LLM students.
Can we go to the next slide? All right, so that's sort of a picture of moot court happening. Next. Now we're going to talk about our extracurricular programs, and the first is the International Law Society, and its president is here.
Hi everyone, my name is Sana Ahmed, and I'm the president of the International Law Society. We're one of the largest organizations at the law school, and we try and bridge the gap between the students and the faculty. Some of the events we'll be having this semester are, we'll have numerous lecture series, documentary screenings, and the big event is Festivus in November. It's like an international kind of potluck. Everyone brings in food from around the world, and it's a good way to network with faculty, and hopefully we'll have a few coffee nights this semester as well with professors or practitioners in Cleveland. So I hope you can visit us at the Student Org Fair tomorrow.
Terrific. And the next society is, it used to be called the National Security Law Society, then it was the Military Law Society, and I think you're changing its name yet again, but you can tell us all about it.
Hey everyone, my name is Kyle Johnson. I am the president of the Military National Security Law Society. we're kind of a young organization, but we're looking to grow. Have a lot of events this year. We have an event co-sponsored by the Cox Center and the Global Institute for Security Policy on Monday that I encourage everyone to come out to. But our organization basically provides a forum for case law students to discuss issues involving armed forces, national security issues, homeland security issues, and just legal issues involving foreign policy. We'd also like to start a kind of like a pipeline to legal employers, the government, and private firms, and really use our case alumni network and help people find those jobs in national security industries. The last thing we want to do is just help out a lot of our veterans in Cleveland. We're having some veterans events this year, and send some stuff overseas and help those guys out. But I encourage everybody to come out tomorrow, ask questions at the fair. I'll be around after if you have any questions as well. So, thank you.
Terrific. And the last international law related organization we have is the Canada-U.S. Law Institute's Student Committee, and we'll have Professor Kogan tell us about that.
Hi, thank you. The Student Committee is a unique opportunity for students to get involved with the Institute, not only to have fun, it coordinates multiple events throughout the year, a hockey game with the Canadian team, as well as recognizing various Canadian holidays with food and beverage, but also the student, the Student Committee, it's an important part of it. But also the Student Committee really acts as ambassadors to the Institute. So for example, when we have our conference in the spring, and we want students to meet and greet with these amazing international lawyers, the first people that I go to, that the Institute goes to, is the Student Committee. So it's a great, fun way to get involved with Canada-U.S. issues, and I encourage everybody to join up.
In addition, the Canada-U.S. Law Institute runs the Niagara competition, which is going to be in D.C. this year. Every other year it's in Toronto, and the members of the student committee are the bailiffs and help run that as well. Now, before we go to the next, well, go ahead to the next slide, but before we start talking about that, which is internships, I want to give any faculty members who have not yet had a chance to talk, who want to talk about their programs or anything to chime in. Maybe, Bob, you want to talk a little bit about yours?
I'll do this quickly and just say keep your eyes out for emails from us over the course of the semester, the course of the year. The Institute for Global Security Law and Policy, besides being a mouthful, is this not working? This is working. Okay, the Institute does a variety of things, ranging from sponsoring talks, a symposium which is coming up, I'll tell you a tiny bit about that in a moment, classes that are under our umbrella, including the National Security Lab. Keep your eyes out. We will be in touch. We have a website that we have in the past had students working on to keep links up for breaking news. I'd like to get students involved in that again. Next Monday, we will be co-sponsoring a 10-year retrospective on 9/11. Later this month, on Friday, September 23rd, we will be sponsoring a conference on universities and national security after 9/11. It's an all-day conference. All sorts of terrific people talking about all sorts of topics ranging from anthropologists under arms in Afghanistan to how the legal academy has responded to the future of peace studies. There will be other lectures. Mary Dudziak is coming in October to talk about when is war, and when is peace. So a lot going on. As Michael mentioned, you can do a concentration in national security law. There's information on that for you. All of that's premature, obviously, but as needed, I'm available to talk to you about the opportunities there.
Okay. And while we're in this area, I also want to introduce you to Richard Gordon, because he came to us from the IMF, where he was for 14 years. He's our most recent tenured faculty member, and he does a lot of work with terrorist financing. You want to tell us anything?
I do a lot of work for Bob and for Michael. With. I have tenure now. With. And one of the things that, as Michael said, I worked for the IMF for a long time. Right now we have kind of a special relationship without Tony Blair, but with the World Bank. We're quite a bit of stuff for them, projects that the bank actually finances student research assistants who then get to be called CWRU World Bank Fellows in International Financial Law. It's an even bigger mouthful than Center. We also do work for the Counterterrorism Task Force of the United Nations Security Council, and as part of that, and the Center for Security Law and Policy and the Cox Center, and also the Center for Business Law and Regulation, and any other center you want to check in. We're doing a symposium on a report that we did, meaning the students here and I, for the Counterterrorism Task Force on terrorism financing, which was a natural follow-up to a conference that Bob essentially ran a couple of years ago on terrorism financing. So that's coming up, don't have a date yet. And that's about it.
Okay. And looking down, who else hasn't spoken? Jackie, can I ask, as the representative of the Dean's Office, for you to say a few words?
I don't believe I'm authorized to say anything. I've just had a meeting with the Dean and he didn't authorize me to say anything, but the one thing that I do, as Michael mentioned before, was work with John Retzinger on the Case Abroad at Home program, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that more later. I know the Dean is very committed to the international law program. He's very committed to capitalising on our strengths, which others have talked about so far, and extending our opportunities for student exchange, for faculty exchange, and really open to new ideas. So that, if there are things that we're doing that you'd like to see us doing more of, or if there's things that you think we're not doing that we could be doing, you should feel free to talk to any of us, or indeed introduce yourself to Dean Mitchell and let him know what you're interested in.
If you notice that by the cool accent, our faculty is international, as well as
I did not use my normal accent.
All right, behind me is a slide of our internships. And one of the things about the Cox Center and some other endowed internships that we have is that over time we've now amassed enough money so that we give over $60,000 to students every summer for your internships. And this allows you to fly off to faraway places and work for law firms or international tribunals or international institutions or governments or whatever you can imagine. And these are the first step, the back door, the secret way into a career of international law. So we had a lot of students doing internships this year. What I'd like each of them to do who are here is just introduce themselves and tell you where they interned.
Hi, my name is Jessica Rubin. I worked at Shuhad Hadin. I'm also a 2L. Shuhad Hadin is an Israel law center. It's a nonprofit law center. Primarily, they're interested in bankrupting terrorist organizations. They do so by, it's a little tricky, they use exceptions in the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act and the Alien Tort Claims Statute to bankrupt terrorist organizations. So state sponsors of terrorism are ultimately sued by people harmed in terrorist attacks. They use our American federal courts, so I primarily did American law, and they need American interns. So if you have any questions about working in Israel, please let me know.
Just to let you guys know again, in 2 weeks we're going to have an entire panel where the student interns will tell you all about what their experience was like. Today we just want you to introduce yourself and very quickly tell us where you were, because we don't have that time.
Hello, my name is Yukami Owakisian. I was in Geneva, Switzerland this summer working for the World Intellectual Property Organization.
Hello, I'm Sarah Cotterill. I worked for the Special Tribunal for Lebanon this summer.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Haider Sayed, and I was also at the Special Tribunal for Lebanon.
Good afternoon. My name is Rizwan Chaudhry. I was in Washington, D.C., working at the FCC on international policy issues.
Hi, my name is Johanna Sarl. I was the Intellectual Property Research Liaison for the World Intellectual Property Organization in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis.
I'm Effie Fulmer.
Stolberg. I was an intern for the Association for Defense Counsel practicing before the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. Say that 10 times fast. And I specifically worked for the Heritage Defense Team.
Laura McCaskill. I was at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda and Eritrea, Tanzania.
Hi, my name is Paul Solomon. I was in Geneva, Switzerland, working at the International Trade Center.
Hi, I'm Sarah Karate. I was in Brussels, Belgium, working with the law firm Philippe & Partners.
Hi, I'm Danielle Fritz. I was working in Kampala, Uganda with the Refugee Law Project.
Hi, I'm John Paul McConnell. I was working at the Special Tribunal with Lebanon.
Hi, my name is Max Stelberg, and I've actually worked both at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda and the Special Tribunal for Lebanon in the Defense Office.
And some of our student leaders also did internships. Anybody?
Sana Ahmed again, and I worked at the International Bar Association in London.
Jack Sawyer. I worked at Human Rights Watch in the Europe and Central Asia Division.
And 2 summers ago.
Oh, yeah. 2 summers ago, I was at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda.
Next slide. So, how many of you guys came to law school so that you could be a lawyer? Right? Everybody. You're here for a career. This is a professional school. And a lot of what we do is not just help prepare you for the career, but help network you so you can obtain that career. We are very lucky that we have with us Heather DeFranco, who has been a specialist in international law internships and careers for our Career Services Office. She's going to tell you all about how she's going to help you.
You flatter me. I'm more sort of the liaison to the Cox Center for the office. Actually, all of our attorney counselors in our office do counsel students on our international opportunities. I just have the lucky role, primarily because I'm in charge of the job postings, and obviously that's a lot of what we gear toward. So you can see on the slide a lot of what I was going to talk about. We do have International Law Careers Week coming up in a couple of weeks, and you can see the schedule there. It's on our Facebook page. It'll be in the record, all those sorts of things. Michael already mentioned the stipends. Certainly, most of those, actually I think all of those applications come through our office. We aren't the ones who give the money out, so while gifts are appreciated, they won't make a difference. But we do coordinate the gathering of those applications, so those will be coming to our office when they are coming due, which is not until the spring. A couple other things to note about our office. Obviously, you guys already know that we can't individually assist you until after November 1st. But we do certainly encourage you to come into our resource room. We have a whole huge shelf full of international information, including both public and private international law, directories of organizations, information about government opportunities, both with the U.S. government and with some of these non-governmental organizations abroad. As a couple of statistical things, last year we had more than 15 specific opportunities posted in our jobs board that were actually abroad. In international law, either with the tribunals or non-governmental organizations or other sorts of entities that the students actually went abroad to do them. And then dozens more that were here domestically, both with federal government agencies, state government organizations, private organizations that either focused on or touched upon international law as part of the job responsibilities of the students who worked there. And I think the only other thing I wanted to mention also is that we do have a director of employer outreach who travels and meets with employers. We don't quite have the budget for her to go abroad yet, and if we did, then I would be the international specialist and I would be coming. But she is going to be actually working with Professor Koken this year to continue to expand our opportunities specifically for Canada and U.S. internships as well.
Okay, and let me just ask Professor Koken to tell us a little bit about the Greater Cleveland International Lawyers Group.
Thank you. The Greater Cleveland International Lawyers Group is a wonderful opportunity. Many people, when they think international law, don't necessarily think of Cleveland as a great place for international law, but it is in fact. And so we have a lot of amazing lawyers who comprise the members, and every month they bring in some different speaker in some area of international law from all over the planet, all over the world. They generally meet on Tuesdays, and you'll be receiving an email from Jared around noon, and they provide lunch. It's a fascinating way to learn about the law and a great way to meet international practitioners.
Okay, and once again, I just want to stress, you do not want to miss International Law Careers Week. Put that on your calendar, be here every day, lunch is served, and you're going to learn about careers in the public sector, international business careers that John Gretzinger has organized, tribunal internships, where many of you guys will tell about your experiences, other summer internships, and the summer abroad program, and the China exchange program. Maybe this is a good time for a 3-minute short advertisement for the China exchange program.
Thanks, Michael. I have my own slides. I'm going to stand up and do you have any idea how I can get to my slide? Is Tim back there? You want to just reduce it? Okay. I'm going to skip the normal presentation. I will just show you some pictures of what you can expect. 2 years ago, there are about 600 or more law schools in China. About 2 years ago, we signed 3 agreements with perhaps 3 in the top 10 law schools in that country. You have the option in your second and third year of going abroad for a semester and studying. You can take English courses at these Chinese law schools. You can either live in a dorm or live off campus. Last year was the first year we started actually sending our students over. We do have Chinese coming in taking classes here. We sent, in the first semester, we sent Marcus Lightman to Fudan. He had a wonderful experience. He wrote a paper, and the whole experience is helping him right now get a job. So I think that's something to keep in mind. You need, as a first-year student, to start thinking about this now, because you'll need to adjust your schedule to make sure you get all your requirements in and can still spend a semester abroad. I'll just show you a couple of these slides. This is East China University in Shanghai. And this is the entry into the university. This is Fudan. Fudan's a little further outside Shanghai, but it's just a gorgeous facility. Yeah, it is really. I understand one Malaysian businessman donated this university. And there's Shanghai, and then southwest is southwest of Shanghai. And we just had 2 students there, and I will close just by saying this. I talked with one in my office, and I said, "So did you have a good time?" I shouldn't have said good time, I should have said, educational time. He said it was a great experience, the best experience. I said, "In your law school career?" He said, "No, in my life." He said, it changed me forever. I want to go back, and I'm going to do everything I can to get a job in China. We are working, and we have commitment from Jones Day to consider our students for interns in Shanghai. We will grow that list of possible internships with international law firms in China. Okay. Thank you. You don't need to. Oh,
yeah. I don't know if I used the other one, but all right. So we're now at the end of the scheduled presentation. You see here the list of upcoming events. You've heard about the symposium on Friday, the September 12th event, and the September 23rd event. We also have, and also October 11th. We also have, maybe you can scroll down a little bit because they all fit. But the Klatsky Seminar on Human Rights, we have the only person in the world who's been a judge for 3 international tribunals: the Yugoslavia Tribunal, the International Court of Justice, and currently the ICC, Christine van der Weegaert, and she will be here on November 21st. Then in the second semester at the City Club, for those of you who take international law, it's a required field trip. We go for lunch over there, and we have the Ambassador Advisor for War Crimes Issues speaking to us, and at the end of the year, we culminate with the Canada-U.S. Law Institute's conference. We do have about 16 minutes, which is a good amount of time to answer your questions. Everybody here is ready to answer them, so I hope you have thought of some things that you want to ask us about. We have 2 microphones. This one we'll send around for you to ask your questions, and this one I'll send around for people to answer. Can I have volunteer runner, by the way? Jared? All right, questions? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. I know there's a lot of information you've just been hit with, but there's one behind you.
Sure, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the University of Western Ontario. Is there like a summer program or a semester program or a little bit both?
I'm going to have the manager of our U.S. Law Institute address that.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a student exchange program. We open up classes to students from Western Ontario in exchange. We send students up there. It happens during the school year, and it's talking to a lot of our alumni. It's one of the top things that any of them have ever done. The most fun they've ever had. And if you have questions when I apply, email me directly.
Great. Next question. You guys have had time to think about them. All right, if I were out there, I would be sitting there thinking, how do I get one of those cool jobs that they have? Do I have to just go on the internet and figure it out? And the answer to that, as Heather was alluding to, is that we actually have dedicated spots for most of these tribunals and many other organizations like Human Rights Watch, the International Trade Center in Geneva, the International Bar Association in London, and others. And so these are spots dedicated to just case students, and it makes it really easy for you to get them. Now, how do we get these spots? You guys become our ambassadors. When you go out and find a job somewhere in the world, Heather follows up with an email saying, did you like the student from Case Western, and would you like more, and next year would you like us to pick one for you? And it works great because I guess 50% of the time they say yes, and we've been expanding the number of these dedicated placements. Your question?
Right, I was wondering if you could talk more about the 12-credit tribunals.
Yes.
And if we can do that after our first year, can we do it during the summer, or does it have to be?
Okay, so in addition to the summer experience that these folks have had, in your third year, you're allowed to take either the fall semester or the spring semester and do a tribunal externship where you work for 4 months and you're treated as if you are just a regular lawyer for one of the tribunals. Every once in a while we get an extraordinary opportunity. For example, when Max was an intern at the Rwanda Tribunal, they liked him so much they said, Max, don't go back to case. Stay here for a semester. And the associate dean worked it out. Max, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, I can't recommend the program any more than Professor Sharp is right now. I spent an extra 4 months working for, his picture was just up there on PowerPoint, but, for the Right and Honorable past President Judge Sir Charles Michael Dennis Byron. And yes, he has the longest stay possibly on earth. Basically working with the chambers, I got to work hand in hand directly with the judges of the Rwanda Tribunal. I can't explain specifically what, but I mean, generally working with them to do the direct research and to solve problems that we needed 24/7, anytime that they needed me to do anything. It was great.
Because of our internships and even more our externships, and we even have post-graduation externships where we also give money for students to work at different tribunals, our students have been getting jobs at tribunals at a much higher rate than any school in the world. We have 7 student graduates that are working for tribunals right now in the Office of the Prosecutor, in the Office of the Chambers, which are the judges, and as defense counsel. Next question. Don't leave me hanging here. All right, now suddenly there are a couple questions.
In addition to the China programs and a lot of programs with in Africa and international tribunals, are there any other study abroad opportunities in Europe or?
Yes, so China is our big focus right now, and our new dean who you've met is a China expert, and so we're going to be building up the China experiences. In addition to the 3 that you've heard, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 more opportunities by the time you're a second or third year. But in addition, you have the ability to go anywhere in the world for a semester, and if you have to go and you talk to the associate deans and the other one, Raymond Koo.
I'm the faculty.
And you basically, show them what the curriculum is and what you hope to gain out of it, and then they approve it. And so every year or so, we have students going in all sorts of different places. And there's a lot of flexibility. You can design your own program that way. There was a question up here.
My question was about some mood courts, and I thought originally coming into law school that I was going to participate in one of these, and I started talking to some of my friends that are in law school or just finished their first year, and they were like, why would you, are you crazy? Why would you ever join this your first year? Like, you are nuts. It's all, you're going to have to get very good grades, you're going to be swamped with time. Don't join moot court first year. I don't know. Any opinions on that? I don't know.
Let me say this first. I will turn it over to Cameron, who did participate as a first year. But last year we had a first year, Jury Hoffman, who graduated tied for top in his class at the end of the first year, and he did the moot court with Cameron. And he was so good that they won the regionals. He got 15th best speaker in the world. He spent a whole lot of time working on it and still did quite well in his academics. So, people have to figure out how to juggle their time differently. But Cameron, maybe you want to chime in.
Sure. One thing I can say is don't time yourself into thinking that it's not going to be. Certainly anything you get yourself into is going to have a large workload associated with it. That said, like Professor Sharp's email said, it's like having a part-time job. So you'll do something on the order of maybe 10 to 12 hours of work on it per week for the Jessup team, which is a lot of time over a long period of time, and that's flexible. But especially during those peak times of studying for reading week or studying for finals, our workload's done. There's little to no work for about a month-long period right before finals, because we've got the briefs in. I'm going through with Professor Sharp and our other coaches, and looking through them, making sure that things are formatted right and things like that. So for a 1L member, it's not that much work right there. That being said, there is a lot of work. So if you're worried about being able to manage everything you've got going, maybe right now isn't the best time to do it. But I can say with certainty that those who have done it as a 1L have gone on to have very successful careers. Margot Day, for instance, who just finished a federal judicial clerkship and is now an associate at Jones Day in Columbus, did it her 1L year. Jory is another one who did it his 1L year. I did it my 1L year. Tyler did it his 1L year. Nikki did. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people have done it and gone on to have very successful and rewarding careers. So, don't think for a second, though, that it's something you shouldn't do just because you're a 1L. There's a unique opportunity with the International Law Moot Courts because the rules require that 1Ls be able to do it, that 1Ls get involved. So, definitely, if you're interested in the topic, at least come out and try it. If you make the team, then you can make the determination as to whether it works for you.
A related question you might be thinking about is, if you're on a journal as a second year or a third year, could you do the journal and the moot courts at the same time? It's really the same question you're asking. We have David Koken, who graduated a couple of years ago from here, recently from here, who was the editor-in-chief of the Journal of International Law and the captain of the Niagara team, and won the best oralists twice, I think. And didn't fail out somehow. Do you have any advice?
I would say if you're interested in both, just do it. Don't think too hard about the work. I mean, you didn't come to law school because you wanted to sit around and do nothing. I mean, law school is hard work. It's the best memories I ever had was participating in the journal and the moot court. So I would encourage people just to do it.
All right. Next question. I think we have time for a couple more. Back there.
I can just speak it. I'm pretty loud.
No, but we're recording this for posterity. So.
I was wondering if you're interested in doing an externship in China or in Lebanon, where I think they speak French. Could you get credit as like an elective for taking a language like Chinese or French or some language that they speak in the country that you're going to do your externship in?
Yeah. Jackie, do you want to answer that?
No idea.
Okay.
If he's in Australia, we learn to speak English.
Yes, I agree.
I know the answer to it. I was just trying to get the official means involved.
You know that I am not the academic affairs dean.
Anyway, you can take a certain number of courses that are not at the law school that count toward your graduation. They're supposed to be graduate level courses, and all you do is you meet again with the associate dean that's not Professor Lipton, but Raymond Koo, and you say, look, I want a job where I have to develop my French, so therefore I'd like to take some advanced French courses. Can I take 1 or 2 courses, show him what they are, and then he'll say yes, and then you'll be able to do that, and that counts toward your graduation. Did I get that right?
No, I mean, they can take like Spanish 101.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay, so it doesn't even have to be the advanced courses. Let's say you want to work in Spain, you take the Intro to Spanish course. And John?
The latest 2 students that went to Chongqing, China, took, I think, 4 hours of Mandarin, like 2 courses a week, and traveled all summer and were speaking with the locals. And they said they had a great time.
Okay, so yes, take advantage of our university. There are a lot of courses out there, and you don't only have to take courses at the law school if you feel those courses will help you in your careers. Next question? Back there and then there. Thank you, Jerry.
How do we, again, do we find out about the internship opportunities? Is it on the wall? Is it some post on the wall, or how again do we?
Okay, so Heather's office will be sending you emails about it. But you're going to have so many emails during the year, and you may not always focus on your emails. So we also will have the International Careers Week. We'll tell you all about how that works. And then I can tell you a preview right now that you basically start applying pretty soon, because these aren't jobs you're not forced to adhere to an early deadline or something. You can't apply for jobs yet, but you can apply for jobs.
Yeah.
You want to explain that?
For our reserved internships, most of them are going to be posted into our jobs board, which you guys will have access to after November 1st. And they will be posted going up in early November. And other opportunities also get posted on our jobs board, and other students, I'm sure, can talk about some of the opportunities that they secure just through their own direct outreach application as well. And we'll talk about that at the career kickoff.
And the reason I gave you all of their email addresses is so that you can email them and start a connection with them, because the best advice you're going to get in law school is going to be from the upper class law students. So they're here to sort of be your mentors through the process. And another question.
Great, I just had a quick question going back to the language courses. Do we audit courses as well, instead of having them count towards our grade?
Yeah, you can audit as many courses as you want.
I mean, just, it's going to be, in the case of audits, what you do is you go and you talk to the instructor. And it's going to be at the discretion of the instructor, but most people are amenable to visiting.
We have time for 1 or 2 more questions right here.
Right, if you do a semester abroad, does the program have to be in English, or can it be in both languages?
If, for example, you went to China and your Mandarin is passable, you certainly can take a course with the Chinese students in Mandarin. If you take your courses in English, there are usually at each of these universities about 20 international students from all over the world, and they're the core that are taught in English. But yes, the answer is if you speak the language, at least in China.
Our own summer abroad program is taught at Utrecht University in the Netherlands. Utrecht's entire law faculty program is in English. In fact, the Netherlands, they speak English better than we speak in the United States. And it's nice to go study a place where you don't have to worry about the language. But if you have a foreign language and you want to test yourself and expand, then definitely go somewhere where you can do that. Any other questions before we end? One last question.
These summer abroad programs, are they financed by the student, or do we get it from?
They're not free, but you can get financial aid for them. And in fact, you can get up to $12,000 in loans and financial aid. Just the same way you get loans for your regular schooling. And that covers the summer fund. All right, before you guys leave, we've been very fortunate to have the student leaders and the faculty out. Can you please join me in thanking them? All right, we will see you at our conference on Friday and at International Law Careers Week. Thanks for coming.